All right, all good. I got a serious question though. Maybe that was saying like, bro, you sure you want to go down that path? I do. All right. What pain? What pain? Because I'll be totally honest. I agree with Michelle Obama's brother. You know, if we knew about that pain, I'd find it very hard to believe that we wouldn't go to whatever. I just find it hard to believe that we wouldn't try.
Oh my God.
She's ever done is articulate her pain. As we've discussed on the show before, Michelle Obama has made a career pivot into podcasting. Lots of people thought that she would run for president. Instead, she's run for podcaster. And this campaign is having about as much success as her presidential campaign would have had. It's not going well, in other words. Now, we've dealt with Michelle's podcast already. I hadn't planned to revisit the topic, but a clip from her latest episode is now making the rounds on social media. And it's so cancelable that I have no choice but to do a segment on it. So here we are, and here is Michelle Obama, yet again. Listen.
We grew up with women who weren't voicing the pain and the burden. They made it look easy. And when you make stuff look easy, people assume that you must like this.
Yeah.
It's okay with you, right?
Right.
You know, we don't articulate as Black women our pain because it's almost like nobody ever gave us permission to do that.
And does anyone care?
Yeah, there's
Will
that.
they care?
There's
we
part.
knew, I think we would care. If we knew.
Mm-hmm.
If we knew.
Or, you know, yeah, and we have to ask ourselves,
Like, serious question. Maybe for the ladies. What? Oh, shoot. Hold on, what's that? Oh, hope that that's my whole hard drive. All right, all good. I got a serious question though. Maybe that was saying like, bro, you sure you want to go down that path? I do. All right. What pain? What pain? Because I'll be totally honest. I agree with Michelle Obama's brother. You know, if we knew about that pain, I'd find it very hard to believe that we wouldn't go to whatever. I just find it hard to believe that we wouldn't try to soothe that pain or help you work through that pain, whatever you deem as the best thing for you. Like when she's talking about the pain that Black women go through, what exactly are we talking about? Let's keep going.
the men in our lives is, you know, why wait to be asked? You know, it seems like what we go through is pretty obvious. I mean, maybe we're not complaining, but
And Vons is in the building. Hold on, we got to stop the show. Devon Norwood Kitson is in the building. I know a lot of y'all remember the combo that Von was pushing. You know, he loves the Democrats, loves the liberals. Yeah, all that. Hates Trump. Vons, I got to call you out I'm going to call you out live on the show. I'm going to call you out live on the show, Vons. I've reached out to you like 3 times to have a conversation, right? To just hear your perspective on why you dislike Trump. I felt like you were putting a lot of messages out on the page, and you felt that, and you weren't necessarily explaining yourself. So I called you, and I'm like, yo, you know, like, I want to hear you out. I want to hear. Your first response was, matter of fact, I'm not going to say what your first response was, but you owed me at least 3 calls to have a conversation, right? This is the problem when we don't have conversations with people. We are never going to, and Von's writing LOL. He already knows what's coming. Don't worry. Von's is my brother. Like, there's nothing that's going to shake my relationship with Von. So people looking at it like, dang, he calling Von's out. You damn right I'm calling Von's out. First, you were at a fishing tournament. Then you were at work. You're going to call me when you get home and all this other stuff. I'm texting you. Yo, you around? People don't want to have conversations that challenge their current beliefs. And people would rather stay in the bubble with the people that just agree with them unless they can just type behind a keyboard. Because when you just type behind a keyboard, you don't ever have to explain why you think the way that you think, why your perspective is shaped the way that it is, why you're saying the things that you're saying. Do you have anything to back it up? We need more conversations. People will be very bold when it comes to type in and what we put out online, but not everybody has that same level of confidence to just sit down and have a conversation with somebody. It doesn't have to be filmed, doesn't have to be recorded, nothing. This is why we never advance, in my opinion, because we're too scared to just have conversations with each other as soon as we have different views, right? Vons, you come from the party of DEI, right? Diversity, equity, inclusion. But it seems like the people on your side never want to have conversations with people that have diversity of thought and think differently than you and have a different perspective if you can't just type it on a keyboard. He'd be busy at the fishing tournaments. All right, let's get back to Michelle Obama. I told Vons I was going to do that. Actually, I didn't, but yeah, I didn't.
Actually living life out loud, you know, turn that cycle on its head.
Yes.
And we have to talk about our stresses openly, you know. And also as Black women, we are so easily labeled as angry and bitter. I see the difference in some of my white female friends. I see a lightness, an ability to be in the world and see what's going on, but still be not as burdened about it as I think I am. You know, I think that what I see happen in the news, you know, the assault on immigration rights, the challenges that face our community, the inequality, I think it burns at me in a different way.
Because it affects you.
Yeah.
It affects your children.
Yeah.
It affects you.
Yeah.
Now, I'm no fashion guru.
Now, there's a whole lot of people that are going to be upset that I'm even playing this. This white man criticizing a Black woman talking about her struggle. I'm playing it.
But Michelle Obama appears to be going for a kind of 1500 BC look. She's dressed like one of the wives of an Egyptian pharaoh or something. Don't quite understand the look. But in any case, aside from that, 3 points to make here. First of all, Michelle Obama has an estimated net worth, along with her husband, of $70 million. And I suspect that's a pretty significant undercount. The Obamas, for example, made $65 million on one book deal in 2017. And to put it mildly, as someone who's written books myself, $65 million as a book advance for two books, one from Michelle, the other from Barack, is astronomical. I mean, mind-boggling amounts of money. And Michelle didn't even write her book. She had not just one ghostwriter, but an entire team of ghostwriters. That's the kind of luxury and privilege that few people in the history of this country or the world have ever enjoyed. It's a luxury and privilege that none of her white female friends have enjoyed. I mean, Michelle Obama is almost certainly richer than almost all of her friends. She's more famous. She's more powerful. She's more influential. She's more beloved. She's more celebrated. She doesn't deserve to be any of those things, but she is. And yet, if you listen to her without context and you didn't know who she was, you would think, based on the way that she speaks and what she says, that she's like impoverished and oppressed. You would think that she works for a house cleaning service or something. She drives home from her 14-hour shift every day in her beat-up Honda to her 2-bedroom rancher, tries to feed her children Kraft macaroni and cheese for dinner, but the power's shut off because her account is delinquent. That's the kind of life you would imagine someone must live based on the way that she speaks. Have you ever come across someone saying that capitalism is evil or something similar? Maybe in a
I have, but we're going to get back to...
Hasn't had one for like 30 years. Long day, 7,000 square foot. That's edu/Walsh to enroll for free. Hillsdale.edu/Walsh. You would never guess that, in fact, this woman is chauffeured home to her 7,000 square foot coastal estate in Martha's Vineyard after a long day of doing whatever the hell she wants because she doesn't have a job and hasn't had one for like 30 years. This is what a victim mentality does to you. It means that you can never be happy. You must always be a victim. You could be the richest person on earth. You could be the supreme dictator of the planet. You could have more power and wealth than any human has ever possessed, and you would still be unhappy. You would still feel put upon and persecuted. Victimhood is a religion for Michelle, and she literally cannot see the world any other way. Second point.
Let's talk about the first point. What a shame. What a shame that I don't know what Taraji's net worth is. I know she was complaining about the lack of money that she was making as an actress. But I still assume that she's more successful than the majority of us. Maybe I shouldn't. But Michelle Obama obviously is a lot more successful financially. I mean, other ways as well. Seems to have a solid family. She seems to have an okay guy. I may not agree with Barack Obama's politics, but when it comes to him just being a man, being a husband, I think that she's very grateful to have Barack Obama. So where is this pain? And you know what it is? You ever like have an injury or hurt something, like you may hurt your ankle or you hurt something, and when you're thinking about it all day, it just tends to hurt, right? But then have you ever just played a game or had to respond real quickly to something and you're like, yo, when I responded, like it may hurt afterwards, but in the moment, it's like I wasn't even thinking about it, so therefore it didn't hurt me. If we choose to see something and choose to focus on that, that's the energy that we're going to put out. That's the energy we're going to attract. And that's what we're going to notice. It's no different than when we get a car, we start to see more and more of those cars on the road. We're looking for these things. Michelle Obama, it's like, damn, I guess none of us have a chance of being happy. It's like what is making what I have a real question, because she brought up the pain. Where's the pain coming from? What is the pain? Go into detail about that. Vons, you said you love Michelle Obama. Maybe you can express some of the pain that she's going through. Please let me know. I want to know what pain you're going through. So that way, maybe we can work at it together. I just don't know. Like, just saying that you're going through pain, it's like going to the doctor and saying, I'm in pain. Okay, where's your pain? Did you injure? Like, did you hit something? Did you fall? Did you twist your ankle? Did you sprain a ligament? No, pain.
She says that Black women don't articulate their pain, that they don't talk about how they feel. Now,
oh, no.
I want to be delicate in how I phrase this, but
Vons, what pain from her childhood? I'm just wondering, what pain from her childhood?
I will only say that that is not what I've noticed. If someone asked me to describe Black women, afraid to tell you how they feel is not the first description that would come to mind. Now, if I were to make a list of all the ethnicities and divide them by gender and then rank them according to how stoic and reserved they are.
And hold on, let me, Unc, I see your comment as well. I want to address that. So Unc wrote, most poor people have a subconscious nature to fall into society's trap. That's what I believe your point is right now. But the understanding of someone that grew up in the hood with one parent working, that the child would grow up and not understand anything other than the pain of being poor is wrong. Unc, I'm not sure exactly what you're saying, but I'm going to address it as I'm reading it. Are most people growing up in single parent households because of white supremacy? Or is that because of a decision that we choose to make? Like, is white supremacy forcing certain women to have babies with certain men that they probably knew beforehand weren't going to be good fathers? Because they may even have some other kids that they already got and aren't good fathers to them, but you just think that you're different. We get that. Is that personal responsibility, or is that white supremacy? Is that bigotry? Oh, it's because of slavery. We're going to relate it back to that. Okay, well, after slavery, we actually had two-parent households. Oh, it's the culture. Well, isn't that kind of what we allow to push into our community? oh, the white people, they're the ones, it's the Jewish people, they're the ones that are putting up the money to have little baby out here talking about selling drugs and all this. Well, little baby takes the money and decides to do it, right? Oh, it's the crime bill. It's the crime bill. It took the fathers out the household. It was racist because it locked people up for selling crack cocaine, but the powder cocaine they didn't have the same rules around that. They weren't locking people up. Well, wasn't that the Bill Clinton, Joe Biden? Like, wasn't that the people that you continuously vote for? Didn't they put that in motion? Come on. Come on. Come on. So Unc wrote, however, I don't believe that Michelle Obama had ever experienced any of those traumatic differences that I'm talking about. No white supremacy has nothing to do with the fact that a person that grew up in the hood with one parent working has anything to do with it. But a child that grows up in East Orange is definitely different than a child that grew up in Bergen County. It is different, but and we need to focus on the differences instead of blaming the differences on white supremacy. We need to focus on the actual differences and put responsibility and accountability on parents. Let's say, even if it was white supremacy, okay, you're living in America, deal with the environment that you're in. Let's say that I don't think it's white supremacy, and Unc, you just said that it wasn't white supremacy, but even if it is, if it's white supremacy, and this is why I call BS on all this white supremacy stuff. If you really feel like you're in a situation, in danger, because of white supremacy, then wouldn't that encourage you to make more responsible decisions? Ew. Sorry to interrupt the video. We got a new challenge. 20,000 by the end of April. We fell short in March, but we're gonna get our goal this month. Thank you all in advance for those that are gonna continue to like, subscribe, maybe even leave some comments and let us know how we're doing. And on that note, let me let y'all get back to the video and I'll see y'all soon. Ew. If you feel like you're in danger, you usually react as if you're in danger, right? If you feel like you're in an uncomfortable situation, you react. Shannon Sharpe is getting accused of rape. Well, if it was, let me stay on topic, that if black households and black people really felt like the country's against us, then you would think that we would be more responsible in the decisions that we make instead of feeding into the dumb decisions that land us in the dumb positions that we ultimately end up being in. Vons wrote, Dak, you sound privileged. I am privileged, Vons. That's what you're supposed to work hard for, Vons. That's why my dad and mom sacrificed, Vons. That's why my grandparents sacrificed, so then I can grow up with privilege, Vons. You want to grow up to give your kids an advantage, right? Certain advantages, right? Or do you want to just grow up in the hood and then and know and it's a dangerous situation, but still have your kids grow up in the hood? This is what you're missing, Vons. That's the whole goal of this thing, Vons. Dak, you sound privileged. You damn right I sound privileged. Shout out to mom and dad. They made decisions to sacrifice. I guarantee my dad grew up poor in the South Bronx, the youngest of 9 kids, the only one not born on a sharecropping farm, and turned that into becoming an attorney. And niggas is sitting around acting like they can't do anything. I sound privileged. Like, did you just hear what I just said? My dad grew up, the youngest of 9 kids. All of his brothers and sisters were born on a sharecropping farm. He was raised in the South Bronx, which is a little bit different than East Orange. Or Montclair, where you grew up, Vons, where we grew up. He was raised in the South Bronx and became an attorney. His brothers and sisters, a lot of them became successful. And you talking about I sound privileged as if that's not something that I embrace. That's the nigga mentality. That's the when you growing up in school and you getting white, you getting good grades, you like a white boy. That's the nigga mentality. You sound privileged. Oh my God. But But just like a puzzle that all the pieces got to come together. Like, but not everybody is privileged. That's the point. What is the, oh my God. Unc, what is my privilege? That my parents stayed together? That's the privilege that we're talking about? Do you not think that my parents argued with each other? Do you not think that they went through stuff that other people go through? And they decided to stick it out for their kids because they prioritized their kids, not to say that everybody else's decision can be what it is. I'm telling you what my parents did. Y'all use that privilege words, you use privilege as a word to make you feel better about the terrible decisions that you made and your parents may have made. That's what we use privilege. Oh, well, everybody's not privileged. What about me? What about my upbringing was privileged because my parents decided to stay together? Yes, thank you. The problem with it is that's only privileged in the black community because we have such a bare minimum bar. Yeah. A bucket of crabs, one crab will always pull the other crab down from being on top. What does that mean, Unc? Get out the bucket. Yo. Oh my God. Can I ask a question? If you grew up in a single parent household, have you ever had a conversation with your parents? For all those that grew up in a single parent household, have you ever had a conversation with your parents and asked them, why didn't you stay together? You knew that this was going to be a better thing to raise me, and you knew that I was going to have a better opportunity to be successful in life if you guys stayed together. Why didn't you? And just hear them out. Now we're calling privilege decisions that my parents decided to make. So we're going to disregard, well, not everybody grows up in that privilege. No, my parents decided to stick the shit out. My parents decided to stick it out. There's a reason why y'all always see me showing love to my parents, and I get so happy when they come down to Miami and my dad's swimming in the pool. Look at my post that I just put up yesterday. My dad's swimming in the pool, relaxing. Mom and I, we looking off the balcony at dad. There's a reason why I love that, because they sacrificed so much for me. Their only enjoyment was my football games or what Justin maybe have had going on. There's a reason why I show my parents love. Because I know that they sacrificed when it wasn't easy. It's not, they didn't have any privilege. They made decisions. So what I'm asking you is, why don't you ask your parents why they didn't make those decisions? Ant wrote, Vaughn, Dak does not acknowledge people that cannot get themselves out of their own way or people that use the circumstances to keep themselves down. Who can't get out? Oh my God. Who can't get out of their own way? Truth be told, there's always going to be a difference of opinion when it comes down to this subject, nephew. No, that's a privilege that I'm discussing. The privilege would be the difference between an alcoholic and someone that drinks casually is the alcoholic does not know that the alcohol is affecting them. All right. My wife tells me all the time that if we would have had twins, she might have gave up one of them knowing that I ended up in prison. That sounds like decisions, Unc. That sounds like decisions. We got to stop downplaying somebody's success and saying that they're privileged because they were disciplined and responsible enough to make decisions. Vons, y'all were playing around after practice in high school. Y'all didn't take football as seriously as I did. If we want to keep it real, you didn't take your academics as seriously as I did. So now I'm privileged because I got to play in college? No, bro, you didn't. Come on, we got to stop this. Let's keep going on with the video.
Black women would not be number one on that list, or number two, or three, or four, or five. For the record, I think East Asian men would probably rank the highest, and then probably Eastern European men, Western European and American men might land at number three. You'll notice that all of the spots at the top of the stoicism list.
Vons, hold up. Your cousin, Queez, who always is on this show, grew up down the street from you. grew up down the street from you, extremely successful. What's the difference? Would you say that he's privileged because he had a two-parent household? I don't know, maybe. Privileged, like, oh my God.
Are occupied by men. And that's because women in general, black, white, or any other color, are not generally shy about, as Michelle says, articulating their pain. And I say this with all due affection to women, but you know, if a woman in your life is feeling sad or hurt, you'll know it. If a man in your life is literally dying,
You won't know.
you might not know it. Michelle Obama is herself a perfect example of this. All she does, all she's ever done, is articulate her pain. Like, I don't know Michelle Obama. I've never met her. And yet I know exactly how she feels. I know everything about her emotional state. I know about all of her fears and worries and stresses and concerns. I'm not even trying to know any of that. I'm not interested in knowing any of it, but I do because it's all she talks about. Third, finally, whether you're a man or a woman, and no matter your race.
Unc, you're missing the point. Yes, it's a statistical fact that there's a difference between a single parent household and a family that is built with both parents. That is the point that I'm making. That's you. If everybody knows that, why don't we ask our parents, the ones, if I grew up in a single parent household right now, I would be asking my parents, yo, why did y'all, what's up? Why did y'all decide to split up? Yo, we needed this. Like, what's the issue? I want to make sure that I don't make this mistake moving forward. But the fact that we call it a privilege, no, it's a decision. It's a responsibility. Maybe we should, if we saw it as a responsibility instead of a privilege, then more of us would embrace doing it and more of us would put our kids in a position to have success in life moving forward. Y'all got all this energy towards me. Vons, have you asked your parents, like, if it's such a privilege, okay, let's say that it is a privilege. Why don't we ask our parents, for those of us that grew up in single parent households, mom and dad, why did you take this privilege away from me? That's not white supremacy taken away from you. That's not the government. That's not the Republicans. That's not Donald Trump. Mom and dad, why did you take this opportunity of privilege away from me? But we don't ever have those conversations.
I think that we would all do well to take Michelle Obama's advice to heart and then do exactly the opposite of what she's saying. You know, she says that it's really important to articulate your pain and talk about your stress. Well, I think we should go exactly the other way. You should actually be talking about your stresses and pains a whole lot less than you likely already do. However often you talk about your stresses, you should ratchet it down by about 75%. Or let's say 95%. Contrary to Michelle Obama, talking about your pain and stress is generally an unhealthy, selfish practice. Now, for one thing, and you have to understand this, most people don't care. Okay, your stories of woe are boring to them. When you start droning on about it, they politely listen, but in their heads, they are just waiting for you to stop. Because everyone has their own problems that they're dealing with. They also have people very close to them in their lives who are not you, spouses, children, whose problems are also their problems, right? So they don't have the mental or emotional capacity to care that much about your issues. We all have a limited bandwidth, which is why most of the complaints we hear from most people just go in one ear and out the other. We don't have the space to store that information on the mental hard drive, even if we wanted to. Now, you know, a lot of people seem to find this.
We got to wrap this up, but Unc, I got to address this. Unc. Health and choices are something that you don't have the ability to make on your own. Health and choices are something that you don't have the ability to make on your own. You're saying because your parents said it. I'm just going to address I think I understand what you're saying. Our health is, and as kids, obviously, we eat what our parents have in the fridge, right? Those are our parents making responsible, or who are responsible for us making certain decisions. Our health, I mean, at 20 and up is, I would say, one of the things that we probably have the most control over. Our health and our decisions. So I don't know. And Unc, I know you wrote some stuff, and I don't want to get too deep into it because I know you're writing it, but I don't want to get too deep into it. But a person that grew up in a household with a crack addict dad whose mother doesn't do drugs is different than you and I any day of the week. They are. But those are the choices made by their parents. This is why I'm asking. I always encourage people. I wish you could ask Maya. I always encourage people. Talk to your parents about this. I don't think we have enough conversations between our parents and us as kids. I don't think we have enough real conversations where we're calling out certain things, addressing certain things. We don't have a lot of those conversations. And I think if we have more of those conversations, we will understand and maybe take more responsibility and embrace the responsibility that comes along with how our decisions may impact our kids when we have them. Our health is probably the only thing that our health we probably have the most control out of all things in our lives. That would be our health and our decisions. Those are like, now we always hear stories about people who were super healthy and they had a heart attack early. Okay. The reason why we always hear those stories and they're such big stories is because it's not a likely situation. It's not a story if the person that was out of shape, obese, living unhealthy, if they die early. It's not a story. It's like, oh, yeah. 1 + 1 = 2. Like, you kind of, yeah. Let's wrap this up. I want to wrap this up with a conversation that I saw with Ice Cube on a positive note. We'll finish off on a positive note. Check out this convo.
How long you been married?
We've been married since 92, so what's that, 32 years?
How?
Wanna be.
Yeah.
You gotta want it. Like, I don't want nobody to have my woman. She mine. I'm hers.
The relationship has to have staying power. You don't stay with a person for as long as you've been with your person and can honestly say, man, every single day I wake up and it's just doves flying.
I mean, but who in your life is it like that with? You don't like your mama every day. Some days she get on your nerves. Some day, your brother, sister, people that you love and spend a lot of time with. Every day ain't gonna be roses.
Yeah.
You can't expect that from your spouse. It's really all about a real commitment.
How long you been married?
I want to focus on what he said
We've been
right
married
here.
since 92, so what's that, 32 years?
You gotta want it.
How?
Wanna be.
Yeah.
You gotta want it.
I think that applies to so many different areas of our life. You gotta want it. So much of life just comes down to the decisions that we make. This decision is gonna lead us this way, or this option is gonna lead us this way. Which one do you want to choose? You gotta want it. It's committing. It's committing to making better decisions. We all are trying to do them. We all go through this every day. And as somebody that goes through a lot of these decisions every day, it doesn't help me when people make excuses for me and instead of just saying, nah, make the decision. You're responsible for it. Nobody else. Those are the people that I want around me. Those are the mentors that I embrace around me, not the mentors. I don't have mentors that are out here just in Miami. I don't have mentors that are out here just running around trying to just do them and just be cheating on their girls and doing all type of stuff. That's not what I want out of life. So therefore, that's not who I decide to put myself around. There's a whole lot. I'm getting ready to go down to this conference in Atlantic City on Wednesday and Thursday. It's a conference with attorneys and doctors. The majority of the stuff that's going to be going on down there right after the conference, people only go for the night. When I look up to these doctors, these attorneys, these are people that, you know, we put on pedestals and stuff like, nah. The type of people that are my mentors, I can read their book and learn about how they're living. That I make sure I have breakfast with when I come back to Jersey every time. Those are the type of people that I want to be around. It doesn't even have to be super successful people from a financial standpoint. That may help depending on what your goals are, but the type of people that I want to call my mentors are people that are actually living a life that I strive and struggle with. I struggle to become the person that I need to become. I struggle with my vices. I struggle. There's a whole lot of temptation out here. I struggle. I struggle with waking up and saying I'm going to run. My brother Garrett, bro, I BS'd on an event that I was supposed to do. I conveniently had something else to do. I wasn't in Miami, you know what I'm saying? And it got to the point where I didn't conveniently do it that weekend, but I should have planned to be in Miami this weekend to run this High Rocks race. But in my mind, I'm like, I'm in shape. I ain't tripping on this. Like, whatever. I'll do the next one. That was me cowardly bowing out. I don't want G to come to me and be like, oh, it's okay, bro. Like, we don't have to know. I want G to challenge me. He ain't even got to say anything. I'm looking at him and all the bros posting their pics. I'm like, damn, they really got to it. Look at Chris. His back was bad and he still did the race. I want to be around people that challenge me, that don't allow me to just feed into my vices, that don't allow me to be less than who I want to become. And we'll sit back. You know, there's a whole lot of haters that they do this in football and stuff. Well, man, he only made it because he was privileged, or he only made it because of this. He only made it because of that. Bro, I don't want to be in that group. I don't want to be in that group of those people, them haters. They only did it. You only talking about, why aren't you in that position? That's how I look at it, man. So, bro. The amazing thing about it is no matter where we are right now in life, whether it's health-wise, whether it's financially, whether it's relationships, no matter where we are right now in life, we can make the decision right now to get whatever outcome we want moving forward. Just based on decisions, not based on, oh, well, that person has privilege. This person doesn't have privilege. Put all that to the side. Factor it into the equation if you want. Say, oh, okay, I'm this, so therefore I don't have this privilege, so therefore I need to do this, I need to do that, okay, cool. I could easily sit back and say, like, nah, they running this conditioning race. I don't do that conditioning stuff. I'm not a marathon runner. This race is just for marathon runners. I sound weak saying it. I sound like a bee saying it. Nah. That's what y'all on? That's what I'm on. I'm going to be successful in that too. Or die trying like I did the first time I did the race. Like, literally. Yo. Literally. Decisions. You decide. Stop blaming anybody else. Stop blaming. Embrace it. That is a superpower. The ability and to realize that, oh, I can have anything I want in this life simply by making the decisions that align with getting it. Simple. Let's take 45 seconds like we do at the end of every show. Of course, you know, it's Monday, so we set out to make this our greatest week ever. It's a decision. When we get to Friday and Saturday, and we're looking back and saying, was this our greatest week ever? We said it was going to be our greatest week ever. We're going to look back, and whether we won or we lost, it's going to be based on decisions. 45 seconds, meditate, manifest, get your breath work in. Every exhale, release all the negative energy. Every inhale the positive. Y'all know what it is. I'm closing my eyes. Y'all keep y'all eyes open. Do whatever it is you feel best. We'll start our 45 seconds now. Woosah. Everybody give us a woosah. Woosah. Rub the little, where they rubbing it? Bottom of the ears or the top of the ears? Hit that little woosah. Woosah. All right. We had our convo. Convo was dope. Appreciate y'all. Yeah, now the rest of the day is the rest of the day. We can smile and be happy because we know that great things are on the horizon because we are going to make those decisions that lead to that. So one last breath. Exhale all the negative, inhaling all the greatness. Y'all know what we're here to do. Elevate on purpose, both from an intentional standpoint, raising our standards to challenge ourselves to become the best leaders we can become and to grow into the individuals we need to become in order to accomplish these amazing, outlandish goals that we set for ourselves. Strengthen, honor, onward and upward. Get to that bag. When I say get to that bag, I mean all the little things, the decisions. The bag is just a representation of the decisions that we make throughout the week, throughout our lifetime, that are going to either get us in this direction or in that direction or this direction, whatever it is that we see fit. What are the things that I'm focusing on in my bag? Peace, love, happiness, wealth, health, and in everything we do, integrity. I love y'all, man. I'm rooting for y'all. I hope y'all rooting for me because I really am rooting for y'all. Matter of fact, I know y'all rooting for me because that's how energy works. If I put it out, I know it's coming back. So G-Ro, peace and love. Be with you all. Unc said I'm going to cut my grass because I can't afford to have somebody else cut it. Woosah. Now you're going to cut your grass and be thankful of the fact that you can walk around and do something healthy and ground. I don't know if you want to take the shoes off, but maybe take the shoes off after. Make sure that you get grounded with nature. That's a privilege to be able to, at 10:22 on a Monday, to be outside and cutting your grass, Unc. Or to be able to have some grass to cut. You know, we live in this apartment life. Just Joy Road, appreciate this. You have a blessed and blissful week. Thank you. Thank you so much for that, Just Joy. Ed, what up, Ed? Popped on last second. Damn, good morning. Peace, all y'all. Appreciate that. I was about to say how you don't know. And you can afford it. Yeah, don't even put that energy out. You can afford it. You can afford it. On that note, I appreciate y'all. I saw Ant. I saw Ant. I saw the fire emojis. There they go. The fire emoji. Shout out to Queez. His energy's always here. And as Queez always says, anything that we want to see in the world different than what it currently is, all we have to do is be the change. So let's be the change. I'll see y'all soon.